This is Michael Cirino. I'm here at the Future of Hospitality Summit in Riyadh, and I'm speaking with Philip from, now Philip, is it the Royal Commission, or how can I say this in the proper way? Please introduce yourself with all of the right titles and
Sure.
specialties here.
I'm Philip Jones. I'm the Chief Tourism Officer for the Royal Commission for AlUla.
We're here talking about the future of hospitality, and your project is one of the brightest shining lights here in Riyadh. Where are you, as the Chief Tourism Officer, where are you seeing that future of hospitality in the short term and the medium term as you're developing the properties?
I think one of the things we really focused on is the experiential side of tourism, right? People are more interested in experiences than they are in acquiring things per se.
Yeah.
And I think AlUla lends itself beautifully to that because we're, 7,000 years of continuous civilizations, and all of them left their mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can come to AlUla and experience, sort of artifacts and monuments that you couldn't find anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, the Oasis has been a place for refuge for so long, and it's such an interesting thing to then reimagine it now in a modern context.
Indeed, and I think one of the things that we're trying to do is make sure we retain that level of authenticity and uniqueness, because we don't want to lose what makes AlUla special, and that's part of the journey that we're on right now.
I think one of the things, as somebody who has aspired to travel more in the region, the way that you talk about experience design, your properties are alive. Mm-hmm. They're alive with cuisine, they're alive with art. How do you... We're at an investor conference. Investors usually like to see ruthless budgets with detailed orientation around how much you spend on detergent and what was our... But magic can't happen in that. You always have... So how do you go to these operators and say you have to set 10% of your budget and on fire? Or for the sake of culture, for the sake of respecting the 7,000-year institution, how, as you as a chief, get them to get out of that tight financial model and feel the cultural impact?
I mean, that's a great question. I think the way we do it is we bring them in and let them see AlUla and feel AlUla. And it's one of those places that if you've never been, it's very, very mystical, very magical. And people from around the world come and go, oh my gosh, I had no idea there was a place like this that existed. And you immediately, when you step off the plane, you feel the energy and you sort of take a step back and you recharge. It lends itself to wellness. It lends itself to sort of relaxation. It lends itself to, focusing on heritage and culture in a way that you can't experience elsewhere in the kingdom, or frankly, anywhere else in the world.
It is not convenient to get there. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying it because of its location. It also breeds a lot of what you're talking about. Its remoteness is part of the process. But that also gives a lot of different ways to travel there. And as an aspirational traveler in the region, how are you seeing these multiple ways of experience, like the train systems that we're developing, those luxury markets? Mm-hmm. Again, that is unique to your property. Mm-hmm. And I love that you guys are pushing that kind of interaction forward.
Well, I think, we've now have 20 flights a week into AlUla. Mm-hmm. We have all the major hubs, from the region, Doha, as well as Dubai. And then we also have regular flights from Jeddah and from Riyadh and Dammam. So access, is not a challenge. Now, if you want to drive, it's an 8-hour drive from Riyadh, or it's a 7-hour drive from Jeddah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a long way, but it's a beautiful drive along the way.
100%.
You can stop and see some really interesting things. But, people who come to AlUla have a very different mindset. They're there because they want to learn something about the history and the heritage of the area. They may not know about the Nabatean civilization. We're the southern border. So Petra is the northern border. We're the southern border. Yeah. You can see 111 monuments and tombs in one location.
Wow.
And you're there with 3 or 4 people, not 3,000. That's what sets AlUla apart.
That kind of context, again, the 3 or 4 instead of 3 or 4,000, it's going to get there someday. There's going to be that availability and there's going to be that kind of tourism, but this is that magical part that we're in right now. The exploration, the intentional, connecting of the ancient and the modern.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to go into some more soundbite questions that kind of let you speak about you. So whether it's the high-end audio lounge in New York, a museum in London, fancy hotel here in Riyadh, what is one physical space, something that's hardware that was created to bring people together that's just left you in a state of awe?
So we built something called Maraya, which is our venue for special events and concerts. Only seats 550 people, very exclusive, very upscale. It's the largest mirrored building in the world, and it reflects the surroundings in the Shar Valley. And, you know, you can go to a concert in the evenings, you can open this back door of and you're looking out at the monuments and the mountains. And it's just a stunning venue that the artists from around the world, everyone from Alicia Keys to Andrea Bocelli have been there performing, because it's a very unique venue. And it's one that put us on the map sort of from that perspective.
Yeah, that venue inspired, like, so we do a lot of work with listening lounges, intentional music, whether it's live performance or in this new thing, playing vinyl records on stereos, right? That venue that you built inspired me to pull like an outrageously expensive hi-fi system out in the middle of the desert for a listening experience. And it sounds so stupid, but you put a record on, the speakers there, those monuments, that energy. I mean, you built a beautiful mirrored structure to have nice seats. We just had chairs. And it was one of those mystical moments where you see the Milky Way, you feel the energy, and it's because of your ability to codify it into an aspirational thing. I got to say, I'm gonna make a tiny version.
Yeah, that's great.
That's really great. All right, so as an industry, what do you think what's one thing that you think people are getting really right now? And what do you think one thing is maybe they're misinterpreting or they're applying in an older style and that needs to be modernized?
The continued focus on, you know, sort of acquiring things as opposed to acquiring experiences, right? And a lot of travelers today, and we just did a huge amount of research, 26,000 panel surveys, right? And what we found was that 70% of our visitors want to experience something from a cultural perspective. So we're building 2 amazing museums, a museum of the Incense Road and a contemporary art museum. They also want to experience heritage and culture, 71%. And so we have all the monuments and tombs and heritage sites already in place. We just had to build an ecosystem to be able to support it, and that's happening. And then the third thing, I think that visitors are really interested in arts. And I think, you know, our investment in partnership with the Pompidou and soon to be announced others will really inspire people to come and see something called the Wadi Al-Fan Valley of the Arts, where James Turrell, Agnes Dennis, and others are investing in.
That James Turrell project is just breathtaking. And I again, that is another one of those pieces where it's just like like whoever made that phone call was like, he must have shown up and been like, yes, and you must have been like, yes. And it's such a perfect synergy of talent, intention, and then the local execution.
It all works, right?
It's
and,
really incredible.
And, you know, it's on track. It'll open sometime in 27.
I will be there. So that Valley of the Arts, how are you guys including local culture and local creators in that? Because a lot of what we see here in the region is the deal is made, the hardware is installed, and then the operators don't integrate with the local community in the way that you do, is so organically. They don't become a cultural driving engine that lets people walk in off the streets and leave with more passion. But you nail that almost every time you guys do an activation. How are you bringing that energy into such a remote area and having it still feel so Saudi and so regional?
Well, if you think about it, you know, AlUla is the size of Belgium, right? And only 40,000, 45,000 people live in the whole county. And so we have a lot of opportunity for young Saudi men and women who are natives of AlUla to work in the hospitality sector. This didn't exist 5 or 6, 7 years ago, right? And so they're so excited. We do a lot of training. We send people around the world for training, as well as we have training on site in AlUla. And we're seeing that about 50% of our workforce now are female. And we're seeing that a lot of these young Saudi men and women not having to travel to Riyadh or Jeddah. They have opportunities to work in hotels and restaurants and museums and other cultural institutions in AlUla. And the visitors love that because when they engage with the locals, they realize that these are some of the most hospitable, generous people that welcome them to their community. And so community engagement, community involvement is key. Otherwise, I don't think long-term will be successful, because the whole point is to transition the economy as part of Vision 2030 from oil-based to, and one of the pillars is tourism. So it just makes sense.
You are speaking the language. Like, I founded this organization and all of our principles align exactly. You know, our whole idea here is you use media to capture people's attention. But you need that media to drive them to want to have an experience. And that experience is ephemeral and temporary, but it should be so impactful that they want to go and have it again or tell people about it.
You know, I talk to a lot of visitors. We do a lot of our NPS scores in the 90s, right? And I've yet to meet a single person who's come to AlUla who left going, it was all right. Everyone goes, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was life-changing. It was mystical. It was magical. I can't wait to come back. And that's something as a destination very few can say.
So Phil, in your career, what do you think prepared you for this moment? Because again, you have a very different vision of how hospitality and tourism connect than a lot of the deal making and operating in the region. But there's a clear reason why very smart people hired you to do this thing.
Well, I would say that, in my experience, two of my most enjoyable jobs, one was I was the Minister of Tourism of the state of Louisiana for culture, recreation, and tourism. And that portfolio is very similar to the portfolio I have today.
Oh, amazing.
As a chief tourism officer. The other is that, when you work in the industry, you learn from some of the best and brightest, right? And so I had the opportunity to really work with some of the best minds. I was on the board of the PCMA, which is the industry
I know
association.
PCMA very well, yeah.
And so I met some of the most amazing leaders in our industry, and I learned a lot from them. But at the end of the day, what they wanted in my role was someone who had a lot of experience to come in and work with the local community, not come in and tell them.
Exactly.
But to work with them, educate them, mentor them so they could then become the leaders of the future.
Our team is bifurcated in two pieces, and I unfortunately am the bridge between the two of them, right? Half of our team's creative energy is pushed towards experiential, ephemeral moments. So I've spoken at PCMA, I've spoken at MPI, BizBash, all of those things, right? As destinations, I think one of the things that I think is very interesting in the region is this idea of the corporate traveler has not touched this region yet. The idea of the incentive traveler has not touched this region yet. And again, as far as your knowledge as a destination, right? The state of Louisiana, I understand, like I've done so much work with that board, right? You're building a place, and that place has to have a reason for people to come and visit it.
Right.
And again, it's a multi-layered thing. The other half of our team does the physical permanent properties, right? And I always wanted to see more of a synthesis between those two things. The knowledge of the place transferring over to the developers so that culture could loop around. And that's really the place that you're in right now. You get to then advise and then see it turn into a better destination.
Yeah, it's amazing when I arrived, 6, 7, I've been on the job now 7 years. So I arrived 7 years ago, and the destination was just beginning to evolve as a true destination. But we put a lot of effort into building the infrastructure, airport and roads and all the things you have to do. But we didn't need to start from scratch like some of the other giga projects, because we had thousands of years of history, artifacts, monuments, tombs, and experiences that couldn't be found anywhere else. So we just had to package that in a way, uplift it in a way, and then make it available for visitors. And, we're not a mass tourism destination, never will be.
Never will be, yeah.
So we had 320,000 visitors last year, which isn't bad, about 15% over the year before. So
I mean, that's even a number that I would have imagined. I always thought, and again, this is me just being a data nerd and a speculative person, because, this stuff's not necessarily always public, but I thought 200 to 250,000. And again, like it's 70,000 more is still a significant amount when you're thinking about the number of keys you have. Again, it's not hard to get there, but it's not as easy as taking a direct flight from Amsterdam to Riyadh, right? So it is a second destination. It's a transfer. And those numbers are phenomenal.
Well, it's because of the destination.
I mean, 100%. Yeah.
I think people really want to come. And what's interesting is we have a lot of repeat visitors as well. And so they like to come and see the progress of AlUla year after year. And so it's fun to watch their reaction when they come in and go, wow, this is new, this is different. Wow, I had no idea.
I will definitely be bending your ear for the high season, because we're going to be back for the end of September and October.
Okay.
And I would love to do something outrageous or see the things you're building.
We'd love to have you.
So what is a dream project that you and your team are thinking about, or something that is like just out of reach that you would be excited to see have happen?
Well, we had a dream project that has just been announced, actually.
This is great. Yeah. Excellent.
So there's a project called Manara, which is an observatory. And
I just saw that today.
And it is the most, Heatherwick out of London has designed this. It's
so
one of the
great.
most stunning observatories and scientific knowledge transfer, in astronomy that will be built. And so we've become the third largest dark sky certified destination in the world.
That's amazing.
And we have Garamil, because what we learned is that one of our top experiences is stargazing.
Yep.
And so we anticipate somewhere close to 40,000 visitors who will come to AlUla for that experience.
Can I just say, we were in New York City. We had an investment summit in the city a couple weeks ago. We went to a place in Brooklyn that has a observatory on the roof. And the conversation there was like, we're not making science, we're giving access to the universe to the children in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And to have this flip side of destinations, right? I traveled to, I would tell people to go to Brooklyn, to go, just look, it's midnight. They're like, what am I going to see? You're going to see the moon.
Yeah.
But now if I can say you're going to have a dark sky destination over here, those are both ends of that story. They're both ends of the book. You start in New York City, but then you should end in AlUla where you can see everything.
Absolutely. I mean, and what's amazing about it is the night sky in AlUla has been around for, that's how they would navigate the pilgrims would navigate the route to Mecca. And so it's really been part of the heritage and history of the area for a long time. Now what we're doing is making it available and recognizing there are visitors around the world. Astrotourism is one of the fastest growing segments, right?
100%.
And so we want to capitalize on that because, again, we have a very authentic, unique experience that can't be replicated anywhere else.
As I saw that press release, it was yesterday or this morning in my feed, and I'm so glad that you said it out loud. That's so crazy.
Thank you.
All righty. So before I get to Stephen's questions, because I'm sure he's going to want me to make sure I have all those beats made, what in one sentence, what do you think the future of hospitality is?
I think it's robust.
Philip, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to see the observatory and my next visit to your region.
Well, you're very welcome anytime.